Hello, my name is Manex Ibar. I'm a spirit consciousness guide and mystic. I like to lead people through conscious evolutions using ceremonies, sessions, and different media to help you grow and learn about the spiritual and consciousness realms. In this episode, we're going to learn about how to commune with the elementals and enter into the magical realms of this nature. So the fire realm is fascinating, and it's a really bizarre element because it's one of the most powerful. And yet, if you really think about fire, it's not like the other, where it actually comes into something that's very physical. Even though fire is really, when you light up a fire, it burns and it's very real. It's also very ethereal. You can't predict where that flame's going to be unless it's a candle that's actually giving that form. But even then, with a candle, it'll shift, it'll move, it'll dance. And if you stare at the candle for a long time, the flame might even split in two. But fire is a yang-yin energy. As it's coming from the yin of the water, it can also dissolve back into water. But it's basically a transition. It's a element that is a result of a transitional phase. So from one to the other, to melt ice, you need fire, you need heat to move it into water, and you need heat, fire, to move the water into air. And interestingly, that's actually how you get that fire is in that transitional phase shift. And so it's this weird transitional thing that's alive and yet it's not. And it is pure energy and yet it's mystical in that it does represent transformation. It does burn. It does, take a piece of wood and makes it ash, transforms things. And it's pretty aggressive. It will take over. I mean, the fires that are going on in the world today, with overheating climates, it's been going on forever. And the volcanoes that are erupting and probably we'll see more of in the next 20 to 50 years is this life that's transforming itself. It's the center, the heart of, the pump that's going on in us that's creating fire. The more that we move, the more the heart beats, the more fire and heat we create, which is interesting. And so the fire of the house, or creating a campfire where we all gather around that fire because it's the warmth, it's the hearth, is really related to the heart. And it kind of represents a certain courage. We have to find that fire within us to get in that cold water. We have to find the fire within us to step and ask for the number of the person that intrigues us or attracts us. It's the fire within us that allows for the competition. It's the fire within us that helps us protect us. So it's a really powerful realm, powerful element. And obviously sitting by a campfire, just listening to the crackle of the fire, maybe even putting it inside your fireplace, is a good way to harness the fire elementals, which really help us transform any situation, transform our mind, transform our rigidity, transform our situation. And so it's very useful for that transformational energy. And fire really moves, and it's also mystical, it's a light. It creates light, so it's that first moment of bringing the masculine into the feminine being kind of the darkness, the dark of the yin and yang. The white of the yin and yang is the fire, the light, and the masculine to a certain degree. And so it lights up the shadows. It lights up the darkness. It brings a certain amount of clarity to the emotions. And with the fire, we can burn water and evaporate it so that it becomes not as solid and it becomes more gaseous and freer and so lighter. And that's really what we need, is to transform our emotions. And so we need that fire inside of us to evolve and to move up. And it's really the base of energy, solar energy, wind energy. I mean, wind energy we're going to get into, but fuel, combustion energy, electricity. It's all kind of fire related. So it's all about energy, right? Fire is really the pump of the heart, as I said, which pumps energy through the body. But, the solar flare, the solar power, the electrical power, the lightning bolt power, again, all the combustion engines that burn the oil. It's all about fire, that ignition. As you turn the key, what are you doing? You're giving a spark, which then ignites the engine into energy, burning the fuel, burning the water, burning the liquid, burning the earth and liquid. And so we need that same fire within us, that same spark of light, of soul within, that helps us move, that helps us get us into energy. And it's the fire that rises into passion. And funny enough, it is the willpower, and it is us having that spark that then gets into the willpower to make us move our body and take action and change the form. There's a beautiful story about Buddha that created the most powerful trick on earth because he was being defied by a magician, a real magician that kept saying, Buddha talks a lot, but he doesn't show us much. How do we know he knows really what he's talking about? Why doesn't he show us a trick? And he defied Buddha for a long time. And after a while, a lot of people started maybe doubting Buddha and started believing this magician. So one day, after several years, Buddha came to the village and said, you know what? I will take on your challenge. And on that day, you won't be able to move out of your house and you won't be able to see the greatest trick on earth. So of course everybody came on that Sunday, and of course the magician couldn't move out of the house. He was horribly sick, horribly paralyzed, fighting with all his will, but he couldn't. And the Buddha showed himself transform. From his feet up was fire, and from his head down to his waist was water. And he was in complete harmony and balance between water and fire, creating the golden flower at the sacral, right at the belly button, just under, at that sacral point, which is where life's energy is, where the joy of life is, where the serotonin is, where the digestion of food is, of emotions. And he talked about how the golden flower was the perfect balance between the elements. And this is the goal, is for all of us to develop this golden flower. Thank you for listening. I look forward to speaking more in another episode. For now, you can find out more information about me at my website, manexibar.com, manexibar.com, or on the Soulvana application and platform. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. With blessings, wherever you are, enjoy.